Welcome. To understand the breakthrough that is DeepSeek-V3.2, we must first understand the landscape it enters. For years, the progress of large language models seemed uniform. We measure this by tracking performance over time. Open-source models, represented here in blue, have made incredible strides democratizing access to AI. However, recently, we've seen a shift. Proprietary, closed-source models have accelerated, creating a sharp upward trajectory. This has resulted in a widening performance gap. The question is, what is holding open source back? We've identified three specific bottlenecks. First, inefficient attention. Traditional architectures struggle with long contexts, making them slow and costly to scale for complex reasoning. Second, insufficient post-training. Open models often lack the massive reinforcement learning investment needed to refine raw intelligence into expert problem solving. And finally, weak agentic generalization. While they can chat, older open models struggle to act, failing to use tools or follow complex instructions in real-world environments. DeepSeek-V3.2 was built specifically to dismantle these three barriers. Let's begin with the first major technical breakthrough: DeepSeek Sparse Attention, or DSA. To understand why this is necessary, we first need to look at how standard, or vanilla, attention works. Imagine a sequence of text. In a standard model, every single word, or token, must pay attention to every other token in the sequence simultaneously. Visually, this creates a dense, fully connected heat map. As the text gets longer, the computational cost explodes quadratically. This is what we call O of n squared complexity. This is the bottleneck. It makes handling very long documents incredibly slow and expensive. DeepSeek-V3.2 solves this by shifting to sparse attention. Instead of calculating everything, the model becomes selective. It focuses its attention primarily on neighboring tokens and a few crucial distant ones, ignoring the rest. Notice how much empty space remains. That represents saved computation. This reduces the complexity to approximately O of n log n. By clearing out the noise and focusing on the signal, DSA allows the model to process massive amounts of information efficiently, without sacrificing the ability to understand complex context. Building on the efficiency of the sparse attention architecture, we arrive at the second major breakthrough: scalable reinforcement learning. To understand this, let's look at how open models typically allocate their computational resources. In the standard paradigm, the vast majority of compute is spent here, on pre-training, learning the raw knowledge. Post-training, where the model refines its behavior, usually gets just a tiny fraction of that budget. It's like reading the textbook, but skipping the practice problems. DeepSeek-V3.2 fundamentally changes this equation. While the pre-training foundation remains strong, V3.2 massively scales up the post-training phase. We are talking about a computational investment that exceeds 10% of the original pre-training cost. This isn't just fine-tuning, it's a dedicated reasoning reinforcement stage. This massive investment in thinking time is what powers the high-compute variant, DeepSeek-V3.2 Special. By allowing the model to reinforce its reasoning pathways at scale, this framework achieves parity with top-tier proprietary models, unlocking gold medal performance in both the International Math Olympiad and the International Olympiad in Informatics. It turns out, the secret to advanced reasoning isn't just reading more data, it's practicing harder. Scene 4. Building on our understanding of the architecture and training compute, let's address the third critical piece: the agentic capabilities. Historically, open-source models have lagged behind proprietary ones in using tools and following complex instructions. DeepSeek-V3.2 bridges this gap with a novel agentic task synthesis pipeline. It begins here with Stage 1, the cold start. To build a capable agent, the model must first learn to unify its internal reasoning, its chain of thought, with external tool usage. Instead of treating these as separate tasks, DeepSeek-V3.2 combines them into a single, cohesive trajectory. It learns to think, then act, then think again. But defining the format isn't enough. We face a data scarcity problem. There simply aren't enough high-quality, complex agentic trajectories in the wild. This leads to Stage 2, large-scale synthesis. The team constructed a massive simulation engine, generating over 1,800 distinct environments and 85,000 complex prompts. Think of this as a flight simulator for the AI, creating diverse, challenging scenarios that force the model to generalize rather than just memorize. This massive synthetic dataset becomes the fuel for the final phase, Stage 3, Reinforcement Learning Training. Here, the model's policy, denoted as pi theta, is rigorously optimized against these synthetic challenges. By practicing in these thousands of virtual environments, the model learns to follow instructions robustly and handle edge cases that human data rarely covers. So the flow is clear. We unify the behavior, synthesize the practice ground at massive scale, and then train the policy to master it. This pipeline is what allows DeepSeek-V3.2 to finally rival top-tier proprietary models in agentic tasks. 0, 0, 0. Building on the architectural and training innovations we've just dissected, we arrive at the ultimate test, benchmarking. Here, we evaluate performance across 3 verifiable domains that demand high intelligence: reasoning, mathematics, and coding. 0, 0, 5. First, let's establish the baseline set by the proprietary giants. You see the high bars set by GPT-5 in gray and Gemini 3.0 Pro in red. For a long time, this gap seemed insurmountable for open models. 0, 11. Enter DeepSeek-V3.2. Notice how the blue bars don't just approach the baseline, they meet it. 0, 15. But specifically, look at this. This is the special high compute variant. By scaling post-training compute, it surpasses GPT-5 and matches Gemini's reasoning proficiency, even achieving gold medal performance in the International Mathematical Olympiad. 0, 24. This brings us to our conclusion. DeepSeek-V3.2 proves that by harmonizing sparse attention efficiency with scalable reinforcement learning, we can push the frontier of open models. 0, 32. It is no longer a choice between speed and smarts. It is high efficiency coupled with superior reasoning.